Anthony Adebayo. We off the record.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes. You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo. And the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sport.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B. We off the record. All right, so I'm glad that I didn't hear that. This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
Boy, Scotty B, man, what's been up?
We here. So, you know, I feel like I guess I touched on this first. Pause. Sounds crazy. So I want to give a shout out to like the ECFA. That's the league that the Royals are in. Unfortunately, we didn't win the championship. The championship was this past weekend, and the team that ended up winning the championship beat us in the conference championship in double overtime by a field goal. They ended up winning the championship 54-0. Yeah, and I did state that this is on record. I said that would be the toughest game of the playoffs. Whoever win that game is going to win the championship. And
that's crazy. 54-0
in the championship. It's nasty.
That is nasty. It's like
the nastiest of nasty works.
It's like how'd you get there? You know what I mean? Like,
look, you want to hear something else? The team that lost 54-0. Okay, two things. They were undefeated. That's the first thing. And the second thing, they beat that team the last week of the regular season. That happened. It happened. It happened, man.
Might need an investigation. It might have been some thrown.
Nah, it wasn't. No. With the trash talk that was talked between both teams.
54-0.
What could go wrong did go wrong for that team. Yeah.
That's a lot, man. That's tough, bro. 54-0. Wow.
Just the way it happens sometimes. But I mean, you know, so congrats to the Baltimore Hurricanes. You know, ironically, I actually played with that team like 10 years ago. Actually, 10 years ago.
Okay.
We had won a championship. So I mean, it is what it is. Shout out to them. But moving right along, we are in the middle of one of the best finals, I would say personally, that I've seen in probably the last 10 years.
All right, so let's say this. Is it a better finals than you thought it was going to be? Because I said it was going to be a good.
I thought it was going to be. No, it's just advertised. I thought it was going to be because both teams have depth. Both teams can run. Both teams can play defense.
Do you think OKC? Because I believe you said OKC was not going to lose
another 2 games.
Yeah, 2 games. So they're at 2 games. Yeah, so they're at 2 games now.
2 games.
Right. So ironically, that would mean that you had OKC in 6.
Mm-hmm. If it all went, yeah, correct.
I believe I had OKC in 7.
Right. And we had some people that said Indy in 7.
Right. So do you think that OKC gets the job done tomorrow?
I do. I think not only do I I feel like I'm doing it again. But not only do I feel like they're gonna get the job done and win the game, I don't think the game's gonna be close.
It can't be. I think honestly, Haliburton probably plays tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be a non-factor because he's hurt. I mean,
Mhm.
I get why he's playing, but that's going to make like a huge like difference. I don't think the role players for the Pacers are going to be able to make up.
Well,
I mean, you got T.J. McConnell,
and
he's been playing.
He's been balling.
But do you think that that's enough to make up for not having Haliburton at full strength?
It can be, because now it can be if Siakam has to have a monster game.
Okay.
Miles Turner has to shoot better. Neesmith has to get involved. Nebhart is balling. I think he's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. We've given them the credit of being this deep team that could play 11 guys or 10 guys, whatever. They got to stand on it now. It is what it is, you know. So yeah, somebody's hurt, next man up. And what did Golden State was what? Strength by numbers, right? So hey, I know he's like the heartbeat of the team, but if you consider yourself to be a championship, you know, caliber team, you have to get over the hump even if he's hurt.
Okay.
So
I just think after watching last game, if Shea and Williams play like that this game, they don't stand a chance. And I know that I picked OKC in 7, but I want to tell you, if they're playing lights out like that, they're going to be a tough team to stop.
So one of the things that's been happening in recent time has been I think because we're going to have a 7th straight different champion, no back-to-back champion. And for the most part, all of those teams that have been winning championships, you be like, oh man, they about to go on a run. They like Milwaukee, they about to go on a run and they ain't get close to the finals. Boston is a different situation because it's felt like Boston has been like a championship team, you know, for years, but they only got one championship, right? But then you had who was before Boston? Who won the championship before
It was
Boston?
out the West, so it might have been Denver.
Yeah. And Denver, you're like, oh, here comes Denver. How you gonna stop the Joker? And how you gonna stop these guys? What's going? And then you know they fizzle out. So with OKC, do we fall in that trap or do we say let's wait and see?
So this is what's interesting. All of those teams that you name, I mean, like you got the Joker, and we debated about like the Joker and his greatness. But they all, no matter how great, like you got Jason Tatum, you got Greek Freak, they never gave off dynasty.
No.
Like I always looked at those teams to where, yes, they're capable of going back to back. And yes, they've got legitimate like superstars. But if I'm other teams, I don't feel like you just necessarily like look at that team as like, yo, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Like sort of like how we looked at like Golden State. Like when they were at the top of their game, to where it was just kind of like, oh yeah, they're going to be tough to beat. Or how we used to look at those Miami teams when LeBron was on them, or you know, like when the Lakers were having their run with Shaq and Kobe, and you know those, you know, even the Spurs, you even kind of looked at like, okay, they're going to be competing year after year. With Milwaukee, I never like got that feeling. I got that feeling like they were going to always be in the mix, but not that Giannis couldn't be beat. With the Joker, to your point, yeah, you knew they were going to be tough to deal with, but you still felt like, yeah, they could be beat. Boston, I think even the tremendous season that they had last year, and like you said, they've always been in that stratosphere. I don't think you had Boston like Like I'm yet to remember us having a preseason basketball show and predict the next team and be like, oh yeah, they're about to run it back. Right? Like I don't recall like at the beginning of this season. I mean, you sat there and was like, yeah, I think the Heat got shot. Like you didn't budge. I didn't budge. I sat there. Yeah, I think the Knicks got a shot.
I think I might have been off a little bit on that one.
We both might have been off a little bit, but we didn't just sit there and just look at like Boston, like, okay, they're here to stay. We were like, yeah, they're going to be competitive. Wouldn't have surprised us if they would have got back to the finals, but the torch could probably be passed off.
So I mean, and you're right. So if you got teams like Minnesota, Houston, right? Who else that you could think of? You know, the Knicks. I still keep Boston in that some may feel like is one piece away, right? Mainly, I would say Houston, Minnesota. I don't know if people would say the Spurs. But I think people feel like the Spurs are coming.
I think you could start to put them in that category. I think like right now, and we brought this up a lot of times, right? And I think we're just starting to get used to the new face NBA. Like, you know, you got LeBron, and we'll get into his future, and you got like Steph, you got like KD. Looks like he's going to be on the trade block again. Like the stars that have carried the league for years. I don't want to say they're on their way out, but they're on the backside.
Yeah.
So now everybody is looking for the next level of superstars to where, like, pretty soon, Anthony Edwards is going to have that chip on it. Well, not even that chip on that shoulder, but those expectations of,
he has been back-to-back Western Conference Finals.
Right, but eventually they're going to start to like
get over the hump now.
He's got to get over the hump.
Yeah.
Luka. I mean, he's going to be in the same boat. I feel like everybody now Jason Tatum, Greek Freak, what's his name, Joker, all of them have at least, I think people want second championships out of them, but they've got the monkey off of their back to where if they don't win another championship, they're fine. So I think that for them, they're still hungry and they're still like wanting to win, but people aren't going to really be on them like that. But like the Devin Bookers, you know, what's next for him? You know, Jalen Bronson. Eventually, like people are going to start to question.
Hey man, wait. Hey, now you in years such and such. When you gonna get over the hump, man? You know, I get that. So if you look at team, let's use Houston, okay, for example, right? If Houston gets Kevin Durant, but has to give up, you know, some draft capital and let's say Jalen Green, right? Are they the team you say they're probably going to win a championship?
I think they're right there. I will say this. I've said this all day. I say it a lot on the air. Basketball is a young man's game,
right?
If you can run, you have players that are tall and can defend.
Most of the guys in the NBA are tall. Though.
Yeah, but I mean, like when you start getting like 6'8", 6'9" guys that can defend on the perimeter, guys that can run, mixing with a couple of shooters, and you put the right veterans in the right position, and you have good coaching.
Sounds like a championship team.
It is a champion. I mean, we're watching two great teams now that. But no, when you put it,
I saw a comment. I'm sorry. Hey, go ahead. But no, you got two great teams.
You got two great teams. Well, I'll say this. I wouldn't say great teams. I'll say greatly assembled teams.
OKC's great. Yeah.
OKC's great.
And they've been great all year. They've been the top of the class.
But when let's say they do win, right? And look, the future is unwritten for them, right?
Right.
Could it be the start of a dynasty? Absolutely. We don't know. Like, I'm not going to jump ahead of myself as far as like the dynasty talk. I think we definitely put Sam Presti as like GM. I mean, like he got identified talent.
He's the guy.
He get design. He's a great architect of a team, right?
Okay.
You know, if you've got to draft it. But will you look back on this team and say it's a great team? And I don't know if we can say that about this team. Same with the Indiana.
Well, I think time will tell. Though I feel like, do you go back and say the 2015 Warriors are a great team? I mean, because this looks exactly like that.
So I think the 2015 Warrior team, you saw a team that was on the cusp of the dynasty. I
don't see difference between them and OKC right now.
So what I see with OKC, and maybe I just have to see a little bit more on as far as like as the seasons progress, possibly could be like the Bucks team, or possibly be like that Boston team, to where there's teams that because everybody's going to look at those two teams, right? So if you're in the East, the Pacers are the team to beat. Like, even though Boston won the championship last year, you have to figure out how to beat the Pacers, right? Especially if you're in Knicks. Right. That's the team that you lost to the past 2 years.
Right.
OKC, you got to figure out how to deal with them, right?
Right.
Everybody's going to go back to the drawing board and figure out how they can deal with those teams. I don't know if OKC is going to be as dominant. I think that they're really good. I think they've gotten a lot of attention, but I feel like other teams are about to retool to overtake that team. I think like Minnesota starts really evaluating, okay, what do we need? What pieces do we need to put around Anthony Edwards to beat OKC?
Right.
I think to your point, Houston starts to look and say, okay, for the right situation, maybe it is go out there and get KD. Maybe it is bring in this veteran to do it. The Lakers, I think that with every addition that they've made, you know, they're going to look like, okay, LeBron, maybe last couple of seasons, but what other pieces can we put around Luka to be competitive? So it's going to be an interesting landscape.
So I want to get other folks' thoughts on this, right? Because I think that OKC will be fine as long as there's no one that gets greedy. Now, hear me out when I say gets greedy, right? I think that everybody should go get their money, right? But if they find a way, because Williams, J-Dub, he's gonna be a max player, right? SGA, max player. Chet is gonna be a max player. If they find a way, because right now the way the NBA is, it's hard to get three superstars on the same team. Now these guys are homegrown, and well, not SGA, but I mean he basically is homegrown. We
saw this with the 2012 OKC Thunder. I mean,
but
find yourself in the same situation.
So let me, before we continue, look. So if you want to join in the conversation and get your point across, we'll give you a few seconds to get your point across. You can click the link and join the show. I think that we do something a little different. Let them say what they got to say.
Absolutely.
So
now I'm interested to hear what other people have to say.
So I would say this. I understand the Thunder of 2012, right? Because I think the main issue was Harden didn't want to be a six man anymore. He wanted to be the guy. Now I get that, but if you since then you've had teams like the Heat, you've had teams like the Warriors, you've had the Spurs have always been the Spurs. They different than everybody else. But I look at the Heat and I look at the Warriors, where you had guys on that team who are superstars that kind of worked their contract for the team so we could keep the team together. Now it's a little different now because all the caps and things of that nature, where it's going to be hard to have three guys making 200 million because it's keep on going up.
Well, you just touched on something that's like really like I think like it's key in whatever decision making they do. it really depends on A, do they win the championship?
Mm-hmm.
B, do they feel like that they have a dynasty and they can run it back?
Mm-hmm.
B, what are like, the contracts looking like? And C, like really, like you look at Jamal Williams, like where's his head at? You know what I mean? As far as like, does he want to be that main guy, or is he good with being the second option? Now, I feel like I feel like if all three of them want to commit,
that's
the
league is in trouble.
Yeah,
the league will be in trouble.
But I also feel like those will be highly sought after players. When, like you said, they're going to be max contract players. When you start to look and you say, you know what? These are difference makers. Like these are guys that, I mean, with Chet's age, Williams' age, I mean, Shea, like every team is going to want to get them on their team, and rightfully so. So,
So, but let's say that they stay. And so Chet is in what, year 3?
Year 3.
He didn't play his first year. And he had a good year this year. I mean, he still missed games this year. Let's just say SGA says, you know what? I like this. I got my endorsements. We're in OKC. We the only thing out. We ain't no football team. You got the Sooners, but aside from the Sooners, we the talk of the town. And if you win a championship, forget the Sooners because they trash right now. This is our city. This is our state. Whatever. And if somebody like SGA says, "Yo, Jay, you gonna stay?" You're like, what you gonna do? Check. What you trying to do? And they say, "Yo, let's go after this dynasty thing," because they seem like those type of players, right? And I mean, and everybody else that you feel around them. Lou Dort changed his whole game. He was like the main guy, like 4 years ago. He was the main guy. He was a guy that was averaging, like, I want to say he was around like 18, 19, 20. And he had to change his game. Now he's all NBA defense. So you talk like, hey, but there's going to be guys that saying, yo, look, well, I feel it. I like the team. I love it here. I love the atmosphere, the crowd, the people around town. We ain't got to buy food no more, blah, blah, blah. I want my own show.
So you bring up something different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of saw this with Kevin Durant. And we want to circle back to some of the reasons that he, quote unquote, left OKC, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the obvious reason, he wanted to be on a championship team, caliber team that played basketball, in his words, the right way, right?
Right.
But what I've also heard is Andre Iguodala convinced him that being in the Bay Area was better business opportunities because of all the tech stuff. And that was a contributing factor to why he moved to the Bay Area to like really kind of market himself in that. And I've heard similar stories, and I don't know what the opportunities were in Brooklyn, but it wasn't just about, okay, I get the team up with these players, but it was some opportunities that he had in that market to life after basketball. I've heard, and like I said, I've just heard this from different sources, that at OKC, they've got like a lot of oil tycoons and they've got a lot of opportunities like that. So a lot of the players will get into that market, and that market starts to open up. And, from what I'm talking about, and a lot of people might be privy to this, Magic Johnson was really the first player that kind of helped me to this, to where Magic Johnson will realize, like, okay, I'm at the game. I'm meeting these people. They're intrigued by who I am, but I'm trying to be intrigued to why this guy is paying $5,000 for a seat.
Right.
What do they get in? What do they do to where they have enough money to where, like, they're meeting me in the locker room? They're paying $5,000 for the seat. Right. So Magic Johnson started making those connections.
Mm-hmm.
You go into Kobe Bryant. One of the stories that he talks about is when he would hit the road and all his teammates were partying, he was meeting with like business associates, trying to figure out like, okay, let me hear this business plan. Let them take him out to eat, right, so he could always consistently think, what can I do after basketball? I bring that up to if the guys are all in on their brand and life after basketball is going to be a little bit more than the actual team dynamic. Like I think the way guys are thinking in this new generation is like, yeah, it's great if I win. It's great if I can get a max deal, but how do I maximize my self-worth outside of like basketball? And you look at a lot of guys to where like some of their decision making, if you just put it in a basketball sense, you're like, oh, you know, they had an opportunity to go here. Why are they re-signing there? But a lot of times it might be other outside contributing factors that we're not privy to that can sway them in that decision-making process. Right. Now, you bring up a good point. These guys are young in their career. And the great Isaiah Thomas, quote me, hopefully I'm quoting him right. He said, hey, look, your opportunities are going to follow you based off of your performance on the court. Right. Like you don't have to be as invested in getting these business opportunities, because if you're winning championships, you're going to get commercials. You're going to get the overseas recognition. You're going to get the opportunities because you're going to be the it person. But no, it's definitely it's going to be interesting to see, can they keep that team together?
Yeah, and I tell you what, if they keep that team together, it's going to be tough for team. I mean, barring injury, of course, and things of that nature, you I think that OKC could. But again, I don't want to be the one to be like, oh, this is a dynasty coming, there's a dynasty brewing, and then they lose in the second round next year. So
let me ask you about this. And I'll stay with basketball. We got some interesting news today about the Lakers.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to be honest. I never saw this coming in a million years. To the Buss family selling the majority stock of the Lakers. Now, I heard, and I could be wrong, that the deal is going to be worth $10 billion.
That's what they said.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
It's a beat. It's a beat. Yeah. 10 of them.
You still got season tickets. You still got some minority ownership. So I think I would have made the deal, but I was surprised that they made the deal. And I know Jerry Buss is up in heaven, shaking his head like, what are we doing?
Well, I mean, they still gonna own like 15%. It's like, let's not act like, if they just out of the loop and they're not getting anything. Jeannie Buss is still gonna run the team. She's still gonna be like whatever she is now is and $10 billion is a lot, man. I mean, it's like, man, like.
Well, to your point,
I didn't see it coming, but I ain't mad at it though.
Yeah, well, to your point, right? And I think that this is the elephant in the room. How much value are sports teams going to go up, right? So maybe 10 years from now, maybe they're worth $20 billion. Maybe they're worth $30 billion at some point in time. But to take $10 billion now, I think that's pretty safe. Like, that's a safe gamble. I mean, the where it's like, you know what?
But here's the other good thing, though. Here's the other good thing. The guy that's buying it is probably one of the best people to buy it because he has stake in the Dodgers and he's in the Sparks. So he's already incorporated in LA. You know, so I
And you look at what he's done with the Dodgers. I know it's opposite sports, but
mm-hmm.
the Dodgers have been largely competitive, and I mean,
the Dodgers are the face of baseball.
The face of baseball right now.
Yeah.
So, you start to look at. I believe Magic Johnson might have a little bit of ownership in the Dodgers. Does Magic Johnson have any ownership in the Sparks?
Yeah, because they all work together. I mean, listen. First of all, Magic Johnson has his hand in everything,
right?
Yeah. I mean, I know Magic Johnson. His words are, Laker fans should be ecstatic. I don't see why not. This to me, I don't see anything wrong with this happening right now. I think
no. I mean, like you said, like they still have ownership in the team. I think that everybody still likes the direction that they went in and getting Luka. Mm-hmm. I believe in Luka, which I did hear something interesting. I was going to put this out in the air. Mark Cuban sold the team when he had Luka, and then now he got which are two owners that I would have never thought would have sold the team. But then you look at Boston. I mean, storied franchise 2-3 months ago, they sold their team, and I would have never thought that I would see the Celtics selling their team. So I forget somebody else is selling their team. Is it Minnesota that's got new ownership too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's a rash of new owners coming into the NBA. So get your money.
Hey man, I think that so Luka was actually given a short heads up this around the time the trade happened. So this has been in the works for some time. Clearly, he's not gonna have something like this that hasn't been like this is not something that's gonna happen in 2 weeks or something like that. This is months.
It's got to be approved.
Yeah. So I think that I think that is good for the Lakers. Somehow, some way, the Lakers try to find themselves to be relevant during the NBA Finals, and they're not even in the NBA Finals. You know what it reminds me of? And people are not gonna like it. The Cowboys. Super Bowl week, something happened. Oh, Jerry Jones has done X, Y, and Z. Like, oh shit, yeah. Well,
so I know we're jumping around subjects. I want to stay with basketball.
Yep.
You asked something that I meant to circle back with, but I'm going to ask now because you've posed this question. Do you think Haliburton is a superstar? Because I've been really, really, really thinking about that since you posed that question.
So I think Haliburton is at the cusp of superstardom. I think that he's had superstar moments. I think that so far his career, he was on the Olympic team, so he has a gold medal. He's an all-star, among other accolades. I do think he needs to get another step, whatever that step is, to become a superstar. Whether it's leading the league in assists and points or whatever, he needs something else to make him a superstar. I personally feel like there's only a certain number of superstars in the league, right? And unfortunately, you can't really go past that number. Whatever that number is, you can't go past that number. We do gotta guess. Let's see what they got to say. You ain't gonna get that long. So, what's going on?
Yeah, yo, I'm gonna tell you where I'm at, son.
Oh my!
I'm gonna tell you where I'm at.
What's going on?
First of all, be boo. But real spill. The Lakers. The last little snide comment about we kind of trying to be the Cowboys with this. We're not trying to be no Cowboys, man. This
I
is when
understand. I
a
understand.
deal like that took over a year to come to fruition.
Absolutely.
We, we couldn't compete anymore as a mom and pop organization. Jeannie's getting older. In order to get the advantages that you need in the league, you need money, and not for salaries, because the salary cap
Right.
is what it is, but so you can have the best staff, the best equipment, the best all the things that you hear LeBron and people making little remarks about the Lakers not really being top tier in those areas, and you want to keep a Luka Doncic. I think she respects her father so much she knows that in this market, you got to get it to somebody who can really take
Right.
it take it to the next level. So
Right.
that's where we going as an organization. And I'll leave on this. Thank y'all. I love you. I love your show. First time caller, long term watcher. Um, Halliburton's not a superstar
Mm.
because if Halliburton comes to Washington, I'm not going to watch the Wizards.
That I'm glad you brought that point up. Right?
I would agree with that. I agree.
So we appreciate you, Mr. Laker. We appreciate
Absolutely.
I'm gonna tell you why I'm mad, son. Kick me off.
All right, bye. Okay.
No, but that's a good point.
Yeah,
and that's
what I was going. Yeah.
So I was saying something different. So I'll leave him with that point.
Mm-hmm.
My point was more: is he somebody that I would start a franchise around? Not at this moment. Like,
so the Pacers are pretty much built around Haliburton, right?
Yeah, but if you're the GM
mm-hmm.
and you've got all the players in the NBA to choose from,
okay. Yeah, I'm finding somebody else. So I got a list of superstars.
He's probably in the top 10. Well, not even top 10, maybe top 15.
We'll see. So I have a list of guys who drop my damn mic. I got a list of guys who I feel are superstars in the NBA.
Okay.
All right. LeBron James.
Okay.
Stephen Curry.
Okay.
Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is a superstar. You will leave your house and fight through traffic to go see Anthony Edwards play.
So let me ask you this.
I still got
no. But I agree with you. But with Anthony Edwards, is it because we like Anthony Edwards more than we like Haliburton that we consider him a superstar?
He's done everything. Listen, when he got into the league, you can look at him and say, "Yep, he's one of them," because he has the charisma. He has, and once you get into the thing of are you now the face of the league? You're a superstar. You're a superstar. No. That was all pretty much all season. Who's the next face of the league? And the consensus was Anthony Edwards.
So I would agree. But I guess the counter argument is if we put Anthony Edwards there,
mm-hmm.
why can't Haliburton be a superstar? But I won't let you finish your
just before we get to that, because when Jordan got into the league, his teams was barely winning, and he was a superstar. So that's why, right? Okay. And there were guys that were similar, but nah. So okay, I would still consider Kevin Durant a superstar, right? Haliburton right now is still considered a star. Kawhi, no, not Kawhi. SGA is a superstar. Now and people may not agree with this. Wemby is a superstar, and again, you may not agree. Giannis,
no. So hold on. Let's go back to Wemby.
Mm-hmm.
Where I would agree with you with Wemby is you would absolutely start your franchise with Wemby, right? And you're basing that more off of potential, but you see the potential there.
You look at him and say, he's probably going to be in all the commercials. He's probably he's
Right.
gonna be a pop star. He's gonna be all over the place.
Yeah, I think what works in Halliburton's or to his disadvantage is no matter how good he is, people seem like they've seen it before, right? So you've seen a guard be able to carry like a franchise or be the star of a.
You may not like what I'm about to say. You may not like this. He ain't better than James Harden. At one point, James Harden was a superstar.
So I would agree with James Harden being the superstar. I think when he was on Houston and when he was getting MVPs and when he was leading the league in scoring, James Harden was absolutely a superstar.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not a superstar.
But that's where I think you were going. And where I would have to agree with you is that's the next step.
Now ironically, I know y'all see the PlayStation controller right there. Let's use this in Madden terms, right? You got your normal guys, you got your stars, you got your superstars, then you got your superstar X factors, right? Now, if we're using that, Haliburton is definitely a superstar. He's definitely a superstar. He ain't no X factor,
right?
He ain't no X factor. He ain't that dude.
No, but I think the point that Mr. Laker was making, and he was absolutely correct, is are you paying money to go see him? Now, I feel like if he was playing the Wizards and we haven't, and it happened to be convenient.
Oh,
well, no. No, I'm saying like,
it's a regular Thursday night. I ain't got nothing to do. I don't
free tickets.
Yo, that's disrespectful, yo. I ain't doing Haliburton like that. No. I ain't doing.
Oh, I absolutely am.
Hold on.
No, I absolutely am. Because it's a lot of players that fall into that category to where, man, it's nice if I get to see them.
But I'm not clamoring to go see them. Is that what you're saying? I'll go see them if the tickets are free. That's not disrespect.
No. But let's go back to this, right?
Okay.
LeBron, maybe next year is his last season. I'm digging into my pocket,
absolutely.
to figure out like the Lakers. Go play the Wizards.
Though. That's different.
But regardless,
because any year superstar.
But any year. Even if he wasn't retiring, if I have the opportunity to go see LeBron, I'm going to pay money to go see him. Steph Curry, getting close to the end, I'm paying to go see him, right? Everybody on your list, I can see people wanting to pay to go see them.
Don't forget about the Joker, too. Joker's a
superstar. You got the Joker, you got Luka. This is how you know when you're a superstar. When you go to an arena and it's the opposite arena and you look into the stands and you just see that player's jersey. Like if you go into a Wizard game, you're going to see more people with LeBron jerseys.
Wizards is a bad example.
But okay.
Use the Bulls.
We'll use the Bulls. We'll use anybody. Like a lot of players that are superstars that people are just you're gonna see a lot of their jerseys.
No matter what stadium you go to.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. So when you go to a Wizards game, just be prepared to see it's gonna look like a road game, okay, for the Wizards. So that's why I say using the Wizards is a bad example until they get. Now they are doing some nice renovations to Capital One. It looks amazing. It's gonna look amazing, but I would say this: if you can go, if like you said, if it's somebody that you ain't got to think about, like he's that guy, he's a superstar.
So back to your first point, Anthony Edwards. Yeah. If Anthony Edwards rolls into town with the Timberwolves, I might have to go see.
Let me tell you who's on the cusp of being a superstar. Cade Cunningham. I tell you what, he has another season like he had this year, and takes it a step further. Oh, he for sure because he has it, and you'll get like, oh, this boy, that's a bad boy.
So let me ask you this about Haliburton.
Okay,
is he one of the most disrespected stars. Because even some that are Pacers fans and some that are listening to us, we've made a lot of counter arguments to why he's not a superstar. And
I think he's disrespected. I think so because he's a perennial All-Star. I think he's made the last 3 or 4 All-Star teams, or 2 or 3 or whatever it was. However many minutes he got. Shit, Jason Tatum is a superstar and got disrespected in the Olympics. So that Olympics is international ball is a little different, but I mean, he's carried his team and he's had moments in the playoffs, which is where you earn your superstar star stat. You earn that in the playoffs. But
you're right though, right? So I think after this season, no matter the outcome of whatever happens in the championship, he goes into next season to where he's on the cusp. If he has another run like he's got now, I think people will start moving him into a superstar. I think right now, no matter what he does, no matter what the Pacers do, people are still a little shocked. I wouldn't even say shocked. Shocked is the wrong word. I think people will give reasons why the Pacers are there more than giving them their respect that they're there. Yeah. I think a lot of people
people don't honestly, casuals don't really want to see the Pacers in the so and people that's listening and watching and things like that don't hurt me. But watching maybe not right now, but during the season, watching the Pacers game is like watching an NFL game on CBS. The cameras are different. It's just the cameras just look better on Fox. I don't know what it is. They all are. They're all multi-billion-dollar companies. But when you're watching the game on ESPN, Fox, it just looks better than it does on CBS. And when you're watching the Pacers, no matter how good they are, it's like,
well,
and I'm talking about during the regular season, not necessarily like in the playoffs.
Well, the Pacers, it's all in the name. And honestly, they've had Reggie Miller before. They've had like Ron Artest. They've had like teams, but you don't ever really think of them as championships or champions. They never won one, but you never really like look and say, yeah, Pacers, I
don't know. I don't know any Pacer fans. I put it like that. I don't. But you know what? Up until 2015, I knew one Warrior fan, and now I can't go anywhere without seeing a Warrior fan. So
I do know one Pacer fan, and I never liked that guy from day one, and I could never figure out. No, I'm serious. I could never figure out if it was because he was a Pacer fan or I just never liked. I don't know what it was about this guy. Never did anything, but the minute I met him, and I think that might have been one of the first things he told me is that he was a Pacer fan, and it just.
Damn, Scott. So you didn't like the guy because he was a Pacer? I mean,
no.
You're a Knicks fan, so I get it. It makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. You're a Knicks fan. It makes sense. So I mean, it's like you. Like in the
right.
Somebody that's a Seahawks fan, you ain't really gonna rock with them like that. So I totally get it. But to answer the question, to get back to the question, is Haliburton a superstar? Depends on what lens you're looking out of.
I think right now
I'm skating around.
Yeah. No. I think it's legitimate, right? And I think you brought up legitimate arguments, and I brought up legitimate arguments to why he's just not quite there yet. Now, I think, depending, like you said, which lens and what's your criteria, you know what I mean? And you have us as hardcore basketball fans, and you have others as hardcore basketball fans saying, like, look, you don't make me want to spend money on you. Like, I got to catch the game on TV.
All right, so I'll say this. And I want people in the comments, and if you want to join us, you have the link. But if Haliburton considers himself a superstar, he needs to play game 6 like his life depends on it. Whether you hurt or not, nobody wants to hear the excuse. And I understand like a calf ain't nothing to play with, right? That ain't but I'll say this. He has to he can't do what he did in game 5. If he does what he did in game 1, he's not going to play a lot because the coach is going to take him out. Carlisle's going to take him out, and 2, they're probably going to get blown out. Right now, your superstar hobble, but you're supposed to be a deep team. So I honestly, the Pacers don't have any excuses.
Rick Carlisle. So this is on Haliburton a little bit, right? Because people are looking to see, to your point, how does he respond?
Right.
This is going to be Rick Carlisle's moment to where do you play your star or do you coach?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you the coaching decision, and we started the show with this, and you mentioned this, TJ McConnell. I think you have to play him and you have to let it cook. And like you said, some of them other guys have to step up and you make the right decision, because at what point does he start to hurt you? Because he's not, I mean, he's more of a decoy.
And they don't need that right now. They need points. They need to play some defense. And hey, look, I think that Williams and Shea, I think they both get 30 plus.
Oh yeah, this is a tough combo. Oh, we got another guest. Another guest.
What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
How you feeling?
So look, I want to tell you this. You're the last person I wanted to see on the show. I just had the Vikings and Broncos game on the TV, and I didn't be able to catch most of the game, but I did see the final score.
You know, that's a little championship pedigree, but you know the season's still young. You know.
So what's good? So what you got?
Well, I was just gonna tap in on the Halliburton discussion.
Okay.
You know, the whole thing with Halliburton, to me, as a, you know, if I was just the fans of the Pacers
Mm-hmm.
and the way the NBA is right now, you know, Halliburton is kind of like your throwback point guard. His mindset is to get others involved. You know, most times when he steps into the game, he's trying to get all his teammates involved,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes that game is not called for that. And I still think he's learning how to switch gears. You know, when for example, I'm gonna use a different point guard, like a Gilbert Arenas. When he steps on the floor, he's going to score, and then he will facilitate off his scoring.
So
Halliburton.
Let me ask you this, because you're a basketball guy, all right? And you brought up a name that I actually was thinking about, and everybody knows I'm a Gilbert Arenas fan. Do you consider Gilbert Arenas, when he played, would you have considered him a superstar?
Absolutely. I didn't see this man drop 60 on Kobe. I didn't see him battle with the young prime LeBron in the playoffs and not flinch. You know, he had his moment, you know, of course, at the free throw line, the tap on the chest. We all remember that. But I remember, you know, at that time, like, man, I got to watch this Cavs and Wizards game. I'm gonna get my money's worth if I was there. And that team was entertaining. It was a good group of guys. Well, I think it was, you know, they was running the Princeton's offense. So it's a lot of different variables of reaction and having high IQ and skill set with that offense with I think it was Eddie Gordon, was it?
Right. So I'm gonna throw a name out there.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people may not remember this name. Deron Williams in Utah, right? It was in Brooklyn for a little bit.
Darren Williams.
Darren Williams. I said Deron, but Darren Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider Haliburton and Darren Williams in the same stratosphere?
No, and the reason I said it, it's the mindset of today's point guard. I gotta score first, and then get my guys involved because.
Well, Darren Williams used to score, right? So
Yeah.
if you go back to his Utah days, that was why him and Jerry Sloan didn't really get along too much because Darren Williams, he could score. And he was
Absolutely, with the best of them.
Yeah, he was an Olympian. Played with, I believe, Carlos Boozer and those guys was on that Jazz team.
What, the Redeem team? I think they were on. Yeah.
Well, they were on the Redeem team, but they played in Utah together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was Carmelo and a little, not exactly Carmelo and Stockton, but it was a modern, variation of that on a lighter tone.
Yeah, lighter tone. Yeah, but pretty similar team, right? And when I look at like career comparison, Darren Williams, he was on I remember at one point people were saying that he was just as good as Chris Paul, and he had magical moments in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I felt like that he was considered a superstar.
Yeah, and also at that time, I just my opinion. I think the three-headed point guard monster was Chris Paul, Darren Williams, and Prime D Rose before the injury. Those are the guys I know for me when I was watching NBA on TNT. Shout out to TNT, we're gonna miss them. Those were the guys I was looking for. If I'm a point guard, I want to play like those guys. And they gave you different types. They give you different flavors. Whatever flavor you want to watch. You're like, all right, I'm gonna go watch D Rose dunk on somebody. Oh,
So-
I'm gonna watch Darren Williams do some crazy, go on this scoring run, and then kick it out to someone on the corner for a three, or hook up Boozer for a dunk, stuff like that. You was getting a variety.
So I want to throw a name out there. This person's game is totally different, but their accomplishments speak for themselves. Well, I got two names. One is Rondo.
Right.
The other is Tony Parker.
What about?
Okay.
Do you consider Rondo?
Neither one of them.
You don't consider neither one of them superstars?
No, we're not. Hey, man, folks, thank you for joining us. We about to get out of here because Scott is
no,
but I appreciate you, man.
Okay, all right, fellas.
All right.
So I get the Rondo, and
neither one of them were.
But hold on, let me finish. I can see why Tony Parker wouldn't be a superstar, but I've had this debate with a lot of people that consider Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker superstars. And that's why I kind of bring their names up to where I almost feel like it depends what lens.
And them lenses is dirty. If you think any of those three people are superstars, no. Rondo, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, they are good players. Maybe stars, right? So because if you was to put them on different now Rondo's different. Rondo is a good NBA player. His peak would have been star, but I don't think Rondo was ever really considered a star in the NBA.
So let me ask you this: Manu Ginobili is in the Hall of Fame,
correct? As he should be.
Is it possible to be in the Hall of Fame and not be a superstar?
Absolutely. There's plenty of them.
Well, I guess you got Ben Wallace. You got,
you got guys. You got Rodman. Guys that.
Well, Rodman. What would you consider Rodman a superstar?
So Rodman is a little different, and this is why I say Rodman is different, because Rodman is he's almost like larger than life, right? He's like almost like a character, right? That you're either gonna love or you're gonna hate. But he is so damn good at his job, which would be rebounding and playing defense. He's a superstar at rebounding and playing defense. And he's been on teams with Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, and has almost been to an extent. He's never been like somebody that's taken a back seat to any of those guys because of his personality and things like that.
So I would agree with you when you think of. I'm not going to say he's the best rebounder of all time, but he's
up there.
Yeah, he in my opinion, he's got to be the best rebounder to where people would tune in just to watch him rebound. Like, I mean, he would get 30, 27, 28 rebounds. So yeah, I would consider him a superstar. Just because, like you said, the personality and everything that he brought.
Yeah. So if I would consider Rodman a superstar before I would consider Rondo, Parker, or Ginobili superstars. And again,
well, like you said, it depends what lens, right? Because you have some people that I don't know if you ever really could consider Ginobili a superstar, and I've had.
I don't even consider Ginobili a star.
Yeah, and me and you've had discussions to where I didn't even, and you thought I was crazy. I didn't even understand why he's even in the Hall of Fame. No, he
should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, considering some of the other people that's in the Hall of Fame, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh,
Chris Webber. I mean, yeah.
So if you go championships and you go, so you know what you get. You know what I get with Drake. I mean with Ginobili. I almost look at him as like a Draymond Green. Very critical to those Warriors' successes. Mm-hmm. They don't win championships without Draymond.
He's a Hall of Famer.
You think Draymond's a Hall of Famer?
Are you crazy? Draymond is going to two-step into the Hall of Fame. Absolutely. Yes. You literally just said it. They don't win those championships without Draymond. Everybody knows it. Steph knows it. Everybody what Draymond does. Draymond is a multiple-time defensive player of the year. Draymond has guarded some of your and shut down some of your superstars. Draymond is going into the Hall of Fame, and it's not even a question. I can't even believe you're even thinking about that, twiddling your fingers. Draymond is going into the Hall of Fame, and whether you like it or not, I don't know if he's going to be first ballot. I don't know if he's going to be second ballot. What I do know is Draymond Green is going to be in the Hall of Fame.
So on that note, I feel like you did 5 minutes ago when I brought up Tony Parker and Rondo was a superstar. All right, folks, everybody's getting a little tired. Everybody's getting a little hungry. Hey, man, great show. definitely enjoyed the show.
Wait. So you don't think Draymond Green is going to the Hall of Fame? All right, let me ask you this. So do you think Draymond Green should be in the Hall of Fame?
I think if he goes, we have to open up the
Wait a minute.
No.
Question. I sense some disrespect about that. So you don't think Draymond Green should be a Hall of Famer?
No.
All right. Now you don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame. Do you think he will be in the Hall of Fame?
No. I think that you know what might be in the Hall of Fame.
You think Manu Ginobili is going in the Hall of Fame and Draymond Green isn't?
You know what might be in the Hall of Fame?
What?
Like his autograph on the team.
Hey, listen, yo. This man said, yo, he's gonna have a poster with his autograph. We got it
with the Warriors.
Scott's tired,
and then
Scott's hungry. I don't know. Scott done lost his damn mind. You know what I mean? You say sign that?
Yeah, you're gonna sign.
Alright,
There
man.
might be a picture of him and
Oh,
Steph. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like,
my God, this is off the record. I mean, wait. Before we go, wait. Is Clay a Hall of Famer? It's off the record. This is you have to think about. Jesus.
You know, like, look, honestly, this is what you got to think about. Those guys have had great careers on great teams to where Clay was the second best player on there. I can see Clay going into the Hall of Fame. I can see Clay. Now that I'm thinking back, Draymond.
Clay scored like 60 points in 3 quarters and dribbled the ball like twice.
Yeah. So when you look at Clay's whole career
Mm-hmm.
and his body of work,
Yeah.
you have to put Clay in there in a Hall of Fame. Draymond is probably going into the Hall of Fame, but I can see his being more of a debate. Like I think Clay, Steph first ballot, Clay first ballot, Draymond. I can see people being indecisive because
I bet Draymond gets in a shorter time than Chris Webber.
Yeah. So here's the thing with Draymond, right? Mm-hmm. And I want to just be serious with this. When you think back to those Warrior teams, they don't win without Draymond. If that's in the forefront of your memory, his path is a little bit there to get to the Hall of Fame. If you go statistically, and you're just looking at what he brought statistically, and let's say 10 to 15 years goes by, and you're just looking at him from a statistical standpoint, he may have a tough time, right? Okay. If you look at it from all his accomplishments, he'll probably, because like you said, the all defensive players of the year, those are hard accolades to look over.
So I'm gonna read you some of his accolades and then we get out of here. 4-time All-Star. 2016, 2017, still he led the league in steals. 4-time NBA champ, 2-time All-NBA, 9-time All-Defensive, and a 2016-2017 Defensive Player of the Year.
So when you read his accomplishments, the 9-time defensive all defensive team, and he said he was twice the Defensive Player of the Year, or
no, one-time Defensive Player of the Year, which is weird. I thought he wanted more than that, but he was 2 times. He was twice. He was All NBA. He was a 4-time All-Star, 4-time champ.
So Draymond, it's a case. It's a case either or. Time will tell. I think for Webber, what made Webber a little bit easier? Because he was the face of the franchise. He was a superstar. And it took him a while to get in there, but he was a superstar.
Let me read his accomplishments. 5-time All-Star.
Who, Webber?
Webber. This is Webber here. 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA, Rookie of the Year, 93-94 All-Rookie, and he led the league in rebounding once in 98-99. To me, Draymond's
career,
take away the championship. Draymond's
career sounds better, but then when I think back to somebody that actually saw Chris Webber, and you saw Chris Webber is star Golden State, star Washington, star Sacramento. All those teams were built around him, and he was
only in Golden State 1 year.
He was in Golden State 1 year, but when he was
2 years,
but when the Bullets at the time, he was the star on that team, and when he was with the Kings during their run, he was the star of that team.
I mean,
so it really depends on how you're selling it.
I agree.
You know, I also look at, in my opinion, he played in probably the best or one of the best eras of power forwards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have to go against Duncan, Garnett, Rasheed Wallace, maybe a reach, but Antonio McDyess.
That's not a reach.
Yeah, I mean, those were good, legitimate. Yeah, I mean.
So I mean, and we can have this conversation. We'll continue to have this conversation. But yeah, you tried to hate on Draymond, yo. That's crazy.
I always hate on Draymond.
This off the record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
Boy, Scotty B.
We out of here.
Anthony Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes.
You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo, and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.